5 amazing speakers and me. So I was going to do a bit of introduction. I've actually written some stuff down, which I never do, which means I have to wear my glasses so I can't see you, which is maybe a good thing. But mainly because I've been given 5 minutes, so I get that rattle. In other words, I'd be talking about 5 hours. So here we go. It's a lovely honour to welcome you all on behalf of Stokey Energy, and thank you for making the effort to come out tonight. I'm not going to talk about climate change. I guess the fact that you're all here suggests you don't need a lecture, and as Greta would say, we need to stop the blah 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 and start taking action. But what I do want to do briefly is introduce you to the rest of the team and then speak a little bit about Stokey Energy. So just put your hands up. We've got Tom Campbell, fundraiser extraordinaire.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Steve Epstein, award-winning builder and expert in retrofit. Sarah Edmonds, one of our architects and specialising in retrofit and a real campaigner. Dave, you just met, I don't know why I've put him on the list therefore. Charlotte Johnson, who is actually doing a PhD in community energy and is a kind of world expert. Liam, who was at the door, are you in here? Who is comes from a completely different background, but is absolutely brilliant enabler. Couldn't do any of this without him. Fran Alagaya, fundraiser, organiser and brilliant sounding board at the back. And then other people, Russell here, who is our local, he's just gone off, but he was our local, he's left the immediate, he was a Stoke Newington resident, but has moved a bit further out, but he's our local installer. We've got Ingrid, who's a general inspiration, Sophie and Leo on graphics, Henny on imagery, Paddy is another expert in technology and systems and is part of the team that can't be here sadly tonight. And then Sal, who actually organised most of the event and is another great architect who specialises in environmental engineering, but sadly also can't be here because her son's got COVID, and she will be missed. So just a bit of background on Stokey Energy. My inspiration for setting this up with Tom and Steve and others was going down to Parliament when Parliament was prorogued and to the climate marches and seeing loads of Stoke Newington pupils standing on the wall just outside Parliament, at the climate marches, shouting where the FK is the government, and it was sort of brilliant, and it did choke me up a bit and felt, are we really going to leave a legacy like the one we're sort of on the road towards for our kids? And I felt we really need to do something more. I've spent a lifetime work in development and regeneration, looking at issues like climate change, waste, biodiversity, pollution, etc. I was the head of sustainable development for the Olympics, and so I've done a lot of this stuff professionally, and then I decided that I really ought to do something on my own home. So 22 years ago, Sophie and I got stuck in and we tried to green up our house. We put in some insulation, we put a condensing boiler in before they worked. We found out 10 minutes later, PV when they were inefficient and expensive, and solar hot water, which was a lovely idea. But the most painful thing we did was give up the car. But nevertheless, actually, it's been a really interesting journey since then to sort of see how much technology changed, how much better retrofit is. But having done all of that, for ourselves, it just didn't feel like enough. And it became really obvious that we really need to do this at a kind of community-based, sort of neighbourhood-based, if you like, sort of level. And that's what tonight's all about. It's about trying to get not just the 12,000 people, whatever it is in Hackney, but 300,000 people the 12,000 people in Stoke Newington, but the 300,000 people in Hackney, to really take action and actually demonstrate what we can really do if we all work together. And there is some amazing stuff that is going on. I think it's important to say that community energy really isn't a very original idea or new. Nearly 1 million people around the country and now have been part of community energy groups, and in mainland Europe it's kind of much higher. So there's lots of initiatives that we can learn from. We're just starting off on that journey, but we've been talking to some really interesting groups, and I think there's some great things to be done. So apart from addressing climate change head on, there are other compelling reasons, I think, to get involved in community energy. Energy prices, it's in the news, a rising insecurity of supply is really a major issue. You know, we just don't have enough storage, etc. And there's never been a better time to rethink energy generation, supply, conservation and use. Renewables, whilst gas and other fossil fuels are getting more expensive, renewables are getting cheaper and more efficient over the decade, and they will become increasingly good value over the next decade as carbon taxes are introduced and gas and power get more expensive. So really there's only one direction for all of this, but it's imperative that we sort of get on board, I think, as quickly as possible. We're beginning to see local groups and authorities generating and selling power to their neighbours. So Islington, for example, has a brilliant sort of scheme down in Bun Hill where they take heat out of the tube actually and distribute it to a district energy system to houses, particularly affordable houses. So you know, a great sort of scheme, and that's the sort of thing that we really want to be doing at scale with the community here. There's more, of course, to energy and climate and solar and generation of renewables. We want to help individuals and communities insulate their homes, their schools, health centres and businesses. You know, as part of it, that's sort of deep retrofit before we do renewables. And as energy gets more expensive, more people are struggling, you know, in our community, often not heard, with issues around affordable heat and power. And community energy companies around the country can really do a lot to help those people who don't have the ability to, you know, spend quite a lot of money on an air source heat pump or on solar or on retrofit. So, but again, I think it requires sort of action by the community in partnership with local authorities, and that's what we're in the process of talking to Phil, to Meta, to others at Hackney. And you'll hear in a bit from Hackney about the sort of things that we kind of love to do. So some communities are also investing collectively in land reclamation, rewilding, or in large-scale solar farms, solar and wind farms, by raising funds through crowdfunding and other initiatives. So there's a really interesting whole area of work to be done, again at sort of scale, with communities, and looking at how you might, you know, put up a whole solar farm or a wind farm. And those things are really investable. That's what's kind of really interesting. You know, one of the biggest things we can all do individually is actually take our pensions and invest it in really green things rather than in greenwash it, you know, at best, or in oil and fag. So, and these are the sorts of projects that communities can do and actually pay a return on 5% typically, sometimes more on bigger schemes. So for these and many other reasons, we think it's about time that Stoke Newington and indeed Hackney set up a community energy company that helps everyone in the community reduce their carbon emissions and their energy bills, whilst also helping the planet. And tonight is just a very small step, I hope, towards that. I'm now going to hand over to Sarah, who will say a few words about how you can all get involved if you want to. Thank you.
Just over 7. We've actually gained some time, but sadly, one of our speakers, Harriet Lamb, has fallen off her bike on the way here. We've heard she's broken her collarbone, but she's okay. She sent her love. But how ironic, cycling here rather than jetting here. If you don't know her, I'll just say a couple of words and then we'll pass over to Sarah, because she was a really big supporter and is a really big supporter of us and community energy generally. She's the CEO of Ashton, and they support and promote sustainable energy enterprises around the world. She was also formerly the CEO of peacebuilding organisation International Alert, and of course prior to that she had a long career leading fair trade in the UK and across the world. So I'm sure she'll be back at a future event, and we're wishing her a speedy recovery. She sends her love. Sarah.
Yeah, that's really, I'm so disappointed. I'm really looking forward to hearing Harriet speak, but as you said, I'm sure she'll be back again. So hi everybody, I'm Sarah. I'm a local resident and a climate concerned citizen. My kids go to local school and I run my architecture business here in Hackney. I am a coordinator in the Architects Climate Action Network, and I volunteer with Letty and also with Stokey Energy now. So speaking from personal experience, I have run a small practice for a number of years now, and began to get frustrated at what felt like a sort of a lack of opportunity to use my voice to sort of bring about change in the industry that I worked in. So fast forward to about 2 years ago when I joined ACAM. So as a network of individuals, ACAM uses its collective voice and action to bring about real meaningful change within our industry. And yes, I've learned an awful lot from that, and we have changed how we run our business. But almost more powerfully than that, I find myself surrounded by and supported by a group of people that I consider my friends. And you know, that emotional connection is really important because, you know, fighting climate change and the fear of what kind of legacy we're leaving for our children is often terrifying and exhausting. So sharing that burden is how we remain resilient and ultimately sustainable. Like Dan, I wanted to take some of the knowledge that I have learned over the years and do something in my local community. As individuals, as all of us here as individuals within this wonderful community, we have to think about our agency and our responsibility. So where can you intervene and where can you make the biggest impact that you are able to make? And often that's just in a conversation. So, you know, it's through these conversations and through these contacts that we make with each other that bring us together. I don't have much more to say, but I found that putting my energy into working with like-minded people is the best antidote to climate anxiety. Climate action will be made with people and not done to them. So, how can you get involved? I hear you all scream. So what can you do right now? Well, continue to support us. I mean, just coming tonight, I'm really enthused to see so many people come out, and that's really great. So keep supporting us, follow us on all of our social media channels, and just, you know, get involved, and we can talk about what that actually means. So if you're interested in having solar panels on your roof right now, speak to Russell, get your name on our list. If you think your school or other community building could benefit from having solar installation on their roof, speak to any one of us and we'll get you on our leads list. We actively seek different funding streams so that we can either test or enable such installations, and we're developing connections with Hackney all the time about how we can make sure that those initiatives are pushed at scale, as Dan mentioned earlier. What else can you do? If you're interested in retrofit, we're in the process of developing our retrofit offer. So in the first instance, that will most likely be, rewind a bit, retrofit. What's retrofit? Basically, we need to stop our buildings leaking so much energy. You know, the greenest energy is the energy that you don't have to generate, that you don't have to make in the first instance. So let's stop wasting it. And the way that we do that is by improving the fabric of our buildings. You know, almost 20% of emissions come from emissions in this country, total wholesale emissions come from our homes, and that is just such a huge number. So we have a responsibility to do something about that, and we obviously can't wait for the government. So we're in the process of developing that. If you're interested in retrofit at all, and we've met some people already, I can see in the audience who are doing that, so get involved and speak to myself or Steve about that. Energy efficiency and things like that, speak to Dave, and he'll be over here at this tariffs and grants side of things. And then, in terms of what else you can do to get involved, you can donate tonight, you can sponsor us if you like. We do all volunteer, so everything that we do at the minute is obviously on a voluntary basis. But in order for us to keep the wheels moving and to be able to, you know, deliver things at scale, we do need to have a couple of full-time members of staff doing all those exciting administrative roles, which is very hard to get core funding for. So if you want to sponsor us or indeed donate tonight, then we will be eternally grateful. You can consider becoming a member. Fran is the brilliant Fran. She is leading the charge on our membership offer, and that will be coming really soon. And also in the new year, we will have a community share offer, we hope, and lots more details will follow if you're on our mailing list, or again, follow us on our socials. If you have got some skills, and I've been approached already tonight by engineers and by social media people, if you've got any skills that you think, hey, you know what, I could advise here, or if anybody's a financial whiz, we're all ears, come and talk to us. If you've got ideas of the things that you want to see happen in this neighbourhood as a collective, trying to fight the good fight, then let us know, what do you want from this? Hopefully we're Stoke Energy, but you're Stoke Energy too. So yeah, that's all I think I have to say, and I'll pass back to, I don't know, I'm confused, I was hoping it was Harriet, but she's obviously not here. But thanks for listening, and yeah, we'll come and talk to you during the night.
Thanks, Sarah. So 2 weeks ago, I was standing on the roof of Stoke Newington School with members of Stokey Energy, the GLA, the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, the Chief Exec of Hackney, and the head teacher of Stoke Newington School. And to tell us more about what was going on, here's Sarah Jeffert.
When we're talking about environment at Stoke Newington School, we always do a bit of a double act. We do a double act. So this is really daunting because there's so many Stoke Newington parents here. Big up for the Stoke Newington parents who are on the same page. I just have to say it's a deep honour for us to be here standing in front of you 2 weeks on and with our solar panels, and we're very happy with them, by the way. So if anybody's interested in having them done, do please. I go back to 2019 and I cannot believe it was Stoke Newington students who used the F word in the protest. We will forgive them on this time, but I have to say back in 2019 when those protests were being organised, deep down inside, I'd only just started as head at the school, and I just thought, oh gosh, isn't this amazing that we've got young people organising it? And what I hadn't anticipated at the time was actually how many of our very own students were really passionate about this. So, when I started to get drip feed of people coming into my office, they'd forgotten about the coat ban, those of you who know about how we are in winter. So they came in and said, there's a protest going on, we'd really like to take part. And nothing could have sung more true to the way that the vision that we have for our young people, to be global, active citizens. And one of the things that we are very passionate about is that young people learn very early on how to use those democratic rights. And for us as adults to actually deny them that right to go on those protests would have been totally the wrong thing to do. So authorised absence, off they went, and they came back really energised. Absolutely, came back, they were talking about how fantastic it was, everybody getting together, the whole community connecting, right, what do we do? So then, as you know, that on the 20th of September the following year, we had another one, which at that time, we put a training day aside, so that staff and students could both attend. And that really then got the whole community thinking about it. But one of the things that we were very, very committed about is not just about going on this protest. It's not that we wanted to show the young people and ourselves as adults, because we caused this, our generations, the generations before it caused this, but we have to be part of a solution, and we need to show them the way that we can actively work together to look inwards first, to set the stall, to really put it out there and say, well, what could we do at Stoke Newington School to affect change? What can we do about our young people? How can we bring this all together? So, and I'm very, very fortunate that I have governors who are very like-minded, think the same, so we can bring this on it, and everybody was behind this. So, for us, the easier part, which might sound a bit daft, was actually ring-fencing some funds toward this. So over the time of the last 3 years, we were able to start to gradually increase the ring fence. And it wasn't very much, it was about 20k, but it was ring-fenced that if there was any environmental project, we would look to use that. So when I got Tom's email out of the blue to say, from Stokey Energy, to say, right, there's GLA has got some funding available, how about, we look at this to get some solar panels in, it was an absolute no-brainer. And I just thought, great, okay. What was even more of a no-brainer, and it's certainly if you want to convince other heads, and I'm certainly doing the same where I am and other organisations do it, is the hardest part is not so much the funding. You can always find a way to raise funds. but it's actually sitting down and creating time to write a plan, to know what you're talking about. We're not the experts. And that is where Stokey Energy came into its own. It was phenomenal. It was just sometimes, it was just an email to say, you know, right, we're going to do this, just a quick update, say yes, no, or maybe. Or even to the point, I remember that when we were asked, I think it was from Hackney Council, to confirm that we were happy with something going ahead. And Tom had actually drafted the email that I was supposed to write. So I just did that, and then we sent it on. It was that creative to know, and that thoughtful partnership to looking at innovative ways, so let's make it work, to understand that actually this is, you know, we can be time deprived, however, we've got the skill set, we can make this happen much quicker, we have the knowledge base to do it. And what I think it shows, for us in particular, one of the proudest things, for some of you may not know that at the moment, I do live in Croydon, right, I don't know, so at the moment I can't quite cycle in, we will work on that, but one of the things that makes me really proud of coming in every morning is our community. Our community is phenomenal. We have so many networks, so many partners, so many people who are absolutely on the same page about what our moral purpose is for the future generations. And what better is it to join up with the biggest challenge that we've got around climate change. So I get so passionate that as a community, what we could do and what we could set up as a stall for parents, for other organisations, for council, for everyone coming together. And I think having had the launch a couple of weeks ago, what it also did was actually set aside some time for people to start to think, actually, you know, these partnerships, they're really where we need to be. Everyone's talking about the finances are short and all that, but what the pandemic has shown us is the strength and how resilient our communities are. And holding on to that, I think we will go forward, looking at this next huge challenge and saying, right, how are we going to make sure that we leave behind that phenomenal legacy, as I've spoken earlier, for our young people. I'm going to pass over to Ed, who is our environmentalist, and that was one of our key messages within the school, is that how do we look inwards? And Ed, there's no one who speaks more passionately about environment than Ed does. I'm just going to pass over to you about what we're doing at school around this. No pressure.
Thank you for picking me up. As Sarah mentioned there, I'm the environmental lead, which essentially means I'm sort of the teacher responsible and involved with environmental issues both in the curriculum and within the sort of school community. So kind of ideas will flow through, and I know when the solar panel idea cropped up, Sarah immediately sort of emailed me and said, right, let's go with this. There's other things we're looking at now and other projects we're getting involved with, and whether it be recycling in school or getting our young people out there and speaking about the upcoming conference, which of course is so important. So it puts me in a really, really nice position for me to be talking about something I care about enormously. And so, when we talk about young people and how they're going to inherit this planet from us, I'm a father of two, and I do worry about the world we're going to leave behind. And yes, our young people were out there F-bombing and getting in front of the government, but I think that both Sarah and I agree that what we'd like for them to do when they leave us is not necessarily don a yellow raincoat and go out and campaign, but at least be able to sort of make changes in their own lives and their families' lives that actually have an impact. Much of this needs to happen from us and what we do and how we think about our waste and our energy usage and our homes and our transport and our jobs. It needs to come from us, and if we can get our young people thinking about that, then they're going to go out and they're going to spread that like sort of ripples in a pond, and that's what we need to get them to do. Rather than just campaigning and saying somebody fix this, we actually need to kind of start to fix it. And teaching's quite tricky. I don't know if you guys have heard, teaching can be quite difficult. And one of the things that's very, very hard is to get young people kind of engaged in what you're talking about. And I'll give you an example here. I brought a prop. I did bring a prop. I can't actually get it in my pocket at this point. And it's, you guys have probably seen these. I'm sure you've seen these. It's our energy certificate. We got this. The facilities guys brought this to me the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, I got one of these in my fridge. Yeah, wicked. And I had a little read of it, and year on year, we're reducing our emissions, and we're doing really, really well. And I thought, oh, that's fantastic. I'll go and share that with some young people. And I went out into the corridors, and I was talking to some young people, and I said, hey, check this out, look at this, look at this. And they were like, what? And I explained it a little bit, and they were like, And I turned around and said, oh, by the way, there's solar panels on the roof. And they went, really? And that's kind of what I mean by this, is this means nothing. And some of the stuff that's on the news means nothing. And some of the stuff that's in the textbook means nothing. But when it's there in front of them, it means something. You know, we can teach our young people how solar panels work. But when we teach them how our solar panels work, it makes it real. You know, we can turn around and say, this is how it's going to help the environment. And they're like, yeah, and this is how it's going to help our environment. And it brings it to them. It makes it real for them. You know, it brings it to here instead of it being something distant they can't grab. And there's so many other aspects of the environment that we can do that with. And that's, I think, what we want to do is we want to kind of bring it to them so that they can then turn around and go, oh yeah, I learned about that at school, and go on and do stuff. I mean, you probably guess what I teach from my clothing here. You know, when young people apply what I teach in PE and they go and they make it a part of their lives and they become, you know, more healthy and more active, that's such a major win. And if we can do that with this issue, which is so serious, then that major win and those ripples in that pond are actually they're going to spread a little bit wider. So I mean, I know we're standing up here. I wanted to say thank you for giving us an incredible teaching tool and something that is actually going to help make something real for our young people, so that they can apply it and they can learn more about it. So. Thank you.
Really great stuff. And we're there. I totally agree. It's all about spreading the word, spreading it out, talking to kids, talking to your friends, talking to your parents, and saying things that they didn't realise about energy efficiency or what you could do, because we can't all do stuff. That's the whole point of this. This is us empowering each other, sharing our knowledge and wisdom, and helping each other build that net zero community that we're in through the schools, through our streets and everything. So, Hackney, Lucia, do come and join us. Our final speaker tonight, Lucia, is representing Hackney Light and Power, which is an arm of Hackney Council, which has exactly that kind of goal, isn't it? It's the climate emergency. How can we decarbonise Hackney, and how can we work together? So, please come to the stage.
Good evening, everyone, and very happy to be here tonight. It looks like it's a wonderful evening, and it's going to be a wonderful cooking and discussion tonight. My name is Lucia Polinska, and I'm head of operation of Hackney Light and Power. And I spent my whole career within the energy sector, and thanks God, with all government plans, I'm going to keep my job until I retire. Hackney Light and Power is the delivery arm of our Hackney Council net zero agenda, and on our shoulders are the biggest projects, which is mainly delivering on our rollout of solar panels, big thermal efficiency Hackney Green Homes program, electric vehicle charging points infrastructure, and master plan for district heat. So all the big things which we have to achieve towards our journey to be zero net carbon are on Hackney Light and Power arms. In 2019, Hackney declared the climate emergency and commit to Hackney residents to do everything within their power to become greener, healthier and better borough for our community. And since then, we managed to achieve wonderful successes. We switched to 100% renewable energy. We had the biggest tree planting program in the country. We installed our first biggest solar installation at West Reservoir Water Sports Centre and London Fields Lido. We also introduced the biggest school street programs and low traffic neighbourhood, and we also launched Hackney Light and Power, which, as I mentioned, is the delivery arm for our net zero agenda. And obviously those are wonderful things which are taking place, but the journey is long. So this year, the full council approved the Hackney Energy Strategy, which is in relation to the Hackney own emissions and buildings, and we are currently preparing a borough-wide emission, which is going to be up for consultation next year. So obviously, when we talk about emissions, we can put the numbers, we can put the figures, and what is within the Hackney own power, it's nothing comparing of what is out there, what the borough produce and what the borough has to do in order to drastically reduce the carbon emissions. And we wouldn't be able to do that without the community. So we are very pleased, and I'm honoured that I could play a small part, but still in the first Stokey Energy project at Stoke Newington School. We're looking forward to more projects. We're very keen to support and be open to work with more groups, not just Stokey Energy, together with Hackney Council to achieve the greater things. And tonight we're going to talk about retrofit, about solar, about renewable, about tariffs. Those are big projects, and believe me, working with the local authorities, we have every day difficult conversation. We have to make difficult choices. We have to be ambitious. We have to keep our motivation, because the journey up to 2040 and 2050 is long. But the journey and the big things wouldn't happen without the small steps and the choices we make every day. And those choices making consistently every day make a difference. So think about the way you travel, think about the food you consume, about meat, dairy, about textiles, about electronics, about energy sources, about your home, how well it's insulated, how is heated, what energy sources you're using, because those ones will, in the long term, come to those big emission reductions and those big successes which we are all waiting for to see for the better future and for the better environment. Definitely tonight you made a great choice to come here, so well done. And I'm sure that after this event you're going to all leave with a head full of ideas, with motivation, with power to make a change. And as I said, feel free to always come to Hackney Council. Our doors are always open to talk about the ideas you might have and things you want to do in the borough to achieve the great change. So thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Lisa. I think a common agenda, stronger together, that's the message there. Brilliant. So thank you to all the speakers. That's the end of the speaker part of tonight. So a round of applause for Dan, Sarah, we'll bring the stalls or stations, we're calling them, the information stations out a bit more, and the experts. So we've all divided ourselves as volunteers into the expert areas. We'll talk to you about anything you're interested in. So right in front of us here, we've got the solar demo. This is not a table for putting a beer on. Seems like it at the moment. Solar panels there that you can talk to Russell about. Steve will be on hand as well. Over on this side, we're going to have the get involved area. So talk to Fran or Liam or Charlotte or Dan about our upcoming share offer next year, donating, membership, donating. What is that? Is that a card reader?
Yeah.
So loads of how you want to get involved. Put some ideas down, post-it notes, and pens, and hand sanitizer. So do put your post-it notes up because we want to get your feedback. Over here we've got retrofit on the right-hand side, if you're back to that wall, which Sarah will man. Sal, other volunteer who can't be here today, has worked tirelessly for a lot of the graphics and the posters and the postcards. So pick up a postcard, send it around, tell people about it, pick up a badge, pretend to be one of us. Be one of us. Volunteer. Go over there. Put your name down. Put your name down if you're on solar or retrofit. And last but not least, we'd really appreciate you filling out a survey. Not here, don't worry. We'll send it out based on the emails that you gave us in the Eventbrite link with some questions that will really help us design the products and services that can help us. And we'll put links in to follow us on Instagram and mailing lists and stuff like that. So grab a drink, mingle, ask loads of questions, and I look forward to chatting to you in a bit.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Fitment, retrofit. No, I've never even heard of this
Hold your
term
arms
before,
up
so that's how you...
and I'll sort it out. Yeah.
I do have solar.
You have
I
solar.
put that in last year.
What's the size of your system?
I've got not very big, I've got 5.
Do you know what the kilowatt is? It sounds like maybe about 3 kilowatts.